Peace, love, knowledge, and freedom. And welcome to another exciting episode of the Just Seen podcast. Again, season 7 isn't bad. Let me start with that. But I got an impromptu for y'all. This has been on my mind for a minute, and it was just kind of like the light went off, and I figured I had to talk about it. So first off, let me begin by saying that this episode is purely clickbait. If you know me, you know what's up. But so the question, it's not even a question. So the statement of why you need a vaccine is not an encouragement to go get it. It is not a contradiction in anything I stand on. It is presented contextually from a different perspective. You feel what I'm saying? Um, and I purposely didn't include this because I wanted it to be clickbait. Controversy. But nah, um, you need the vaccine is what I mean by that is why they need you to get the vaccine, why they need you to get vaccinated. And, you know, my spider senses started tingling and, I'm a scientist or whatever, low key, high key, feel me, forensic biologist in the game, gang. But it started putting things into perspective. Like I knew from the beginning that something was afoot and something was not what it was supposed to be or what it seemed. Um, you can check out, 5G and Arona, episodes 1, episodes 2 earlier in the podcast. I think I did them sometime in 2020. Um, Not really sure, but I started talking about it there. But like, I think this episode is gonna be like maybe my final conversation on it. Because at this point, y'all know my slogan, "Dead horses in water," but this is one of those dead horses. Like, there's nothing more I need to say about it or should say, but this is one of those things that I wanted to talk about. So, you know, when I look at the course of the whole, like, first off, you notice they don't even call the shit COVID-19 no more. It's just COVID. The shit's here. Like COVID is a staple name now. It is a here. Flu is gone. It's the new flu. New flu game. And if you ain't with it, then you in the food chain. Nah, it's real because this was planned. And when I say that this, like when people have been saying this is a pandemic, I know you hear a lot of conspiracy theorists be like, oh, it's a pandemic. They planned this shit, false flag and all of this shit. I'm gonna try to explain what a false flag really is, because when people hear false flag, they think the shit didn't happen. No, no, no. It is false flags are staged events. That's what false flags are. This is one of those staged events. Is COVID real? Yes, the disease is real, but there's layers to why it's real. There's layers to it. People think COVID is scientists will have you believe that, COVID just randomly popped up rather than it has a patent that shows it was created in a laboratory then released. You feel me? But we all know some of this shit. As some of us realize that we can't really do shit about it, and we just kind of, oh, whatever it is, what it is. It's not what it is, because now you have to understand why all of this happened. You feel me? Again, I could be reaching. You feel me? And I always say nobody can really prove something. You can just justify why you stand on a point. I'm gonna give a whole lot of justifications in this motherfucker. A whole lot from beginning to end. Um, and again, as always, it's shit that I'm gonna lay out that you can go fact check, you can go research, you can go find out about. But I'm gonna give you all of the clues and the details along the way, because this is very, very important, because I'm seeing something different. I'm literally seeing something different happen. We know it don't work. We know it was never gonna work. We knew that. That's why when the variants started coming out, like they didn't even tell you about the first 3 variants. They went straight to Delta, and then after Delta, you got Omicron. Like they're re-engineering. But I'm gonna tell you what laboratory that the variants are coming out of. Get ready, because it's about to go down. This might get my podcast flagged. I don't know, but we'll see how it go. We'll see how it go. Maybe it won't. So yeah, I'm not gonna speak that shit. It's not. But yeah, there's a lot with this vaccine, because it's not a vaccine. But there's a lot with this circumstance. There's a lot with the situation. And if you got the vaccine, you did the best you could with what you had. If you didn't get the vaccine, you're still doing the best you can with what you had. You feel me? But it's a reason why this thing is in the air. The sickness, the disease, the shit, the way it's working on your body is real. Understand me well. I'm going to say this now because I probably won't say it again during the meat of the podcast. I am not saying that the disease, the virus that is affecting people is not real. I am not saying none of that shit. I am saying that this entire situation is not what you think it is. And when you know what it really is, you know why it's still here, right? I'm going to show you the science. I'm going to show you the history. I'm going to show you the reality all in one glimpse. But before I do all that, we're going to take a quick break. Be sure to follow me on Instagram at the Just Seen Podcast. Be sure to hit up my website at iamjustseen.com to get all things that are just seen. To all those who tip, donate, and sponsor to the podcast, you are greatly appreciated. Thank you so much. To all those who would like to tip, donate, and sponsor to the podcast, you can do so by clicking the link in the description of the podcast. Not the episode, but the podcast itself. Cash App and PayPal are just fine. And as always, that's that for this and that's this for that. So we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we are going to dive into impromptu pop-ups, whatever number I'm on, why you need to get the vaccine. And don't forget to visit iamjustseen.com. There, you can get all things just seen. You want to add the So For Real series to your library? Visit iamjustseen.com. You want to learn how to master the markets for serious trading and investing? Visit iamjustseen.com. You want to get your hands on some exclusive merch like tees, hoodies, coffee mugs, hats, bags? Visit iamjustseen.com. Are you thinking about transitioning into the plant-based lifestyle? Visit iamjustseen.com. You ever want to just chat with Scene about anything from simple advice to mentorship? Visit iamjustseen.com. Anything and everything that is me, you can find at iamjustseen.com. So take a quick peek into my world to see why being just seen is nothing less but always more. Because you never really know what you need until you see it, and you will never see it unless you visit iamjustseen.com. All right. Welcome back, guys. And without further ado, we just gonna dive straight into it because it's a lot. It's a lot that I want to talk about here, and it's a lot that I really got to say. And I feel like it's important to say because it's like one thing that I came to terms with during the rest of this pandemic, just life as a whole, is that I've been right about a lot of shit in my life as far as like what I predicted and what I said what happened. And a lot of people be thinking it's like a tapped in divine intervention, like I'm getting actual messages from deities and shit. And that may be true. That may be true. But I heard an elder once say, he said, a prophet is not a mystical being, is not a one thing that people can't be. It's not a specific person that a deity or whatever just put into this world one time and said, okay, now you're a prophet, go tell whatever. But a prophet is someone who has a thorough understanding of the past, has a detailed observation of the present, and can predict the future based off that. Right? So when I'm about to prophesy, understand that I'm just breaking down the past, putting it to what it is in the present, and showing you what the future is going to be. You feel me? For those who've been following the podcast, even those who used to follow me on my old Instagram page, I'm not a horn tooter, no shit like that. Try not to be, but how much of what I said about the vaccine, corona, all of this shit was wrong? How much of what I said happened? You feel what I'm saying? And at this point, I gave you guys glimpses because there were certain pieces that I was waiting on to actually say more. But I have some of those pieces now. And like I said, it's time to discuss it. So first things first, I want to start with the PCR. PCR. If y'all know, I'm a forensic biologist, right? Part of me graduating from undergrad with a forensic biology degree was my capstone course. Well, it's not really a capstone, but it's kind of like that. Like we had to do the final semester, put everything together of a DNA of a crime scene analysis, a biological crime scene analysis, and a chemical crime scene analysis. If my cohorts were chemistry majors, well, chemistry specialties. You feel me? Because we have forensic chemists and forensic biologists. I chose biology, right? And in our final piece, we had to use the genetic analyzer. We had to use PCR. We had to multiply DNA. PCR is polymerase chain reaction. I broke this down before, I think, in the 5G and Arona episodes. So I'm not going to dive heavy into it, but I'm going to give a glimpse for the new people here that, you know, as we dive into it, right? So PCR is called the polymerase chain reaction. Is developed by a guy named Kerry Mullis, right? The thing about the PCR is that it multiplies DNA exponentially. It's a perfect thing. Like I can't even, you know what I'm saying? Like you can take a small amount of DNA and it can multiply it on a higher level so you can have abundant amounts to work with. So as a forensic biologist, like I'm gonna show you guys the backside of CSI shit. Like it's like they get the DNA and when they say, oh, we got trace, oh, we got this small amount, you be like, how the fuck they gonna get something from that little small amount of blood? This is what they're not showing you. They're multiplying the DNA. They take that little small square of the blood. You don't need that much. Literally, you don't need that much. We've done it with the little tiniest pieces of a corner of a napkin, and you do the PCR. It multiplies the DNA. It doesn't enhance the DNA. It multiplies the amount of DNA on an exponential level. And when I say exponential level, I mean exponential level. The PCR process, when it goes into a system, it's in this like a heating, cooling phase or whatever the case may be. So it can denature the DNA, put the DNA back together, and multiply itself. Right. So at the end of a full PCR cycle, the DNA's multiplication is 2 to the 30th power. 2 to the 30th power. That's over a million. That's only over a million. The DNA is multiplied by over a million, right? Because it's 2 to the 30th power. When this thing first started, right? When this thing first started, one of the biggest things that they kept saying was, well, the way that they tested for it. This is one of the first viruses. You couldn't test for the blood. You couldn't, pee to test. Like you had to have a swab. Right. Now, just tying it into my forensic background and shit. Whenever we took DNA, we swabbed shit, right? Usually we swab buccal cells, which are cheek cells, we swab the inside of the cheek to get the DNA or whatever the case may be. That's the easiest way because it's moist. The second easiest way is it's the palate. It's the nasal palate. That is the most moistened and warmest place in your body for the most part. For the most part. So the DNA is there, right? Now I know, oh, saying what this got to do? It has everything to do with the vaccine. It's like the test was different. That's how you know this entire experiment was going to be different. And yes, I'm calling this an experiment because even with the science background, like people were like, they're going to mandate the vaccine. I knew they were never going to mandate the vaccine. I knew it. They can't mandate the vaccine. I'm going to tell you why, because now you have to look at it as a scientific perspective because this is an experiment that is happening. They literally told y'all to trust science that had never been done before. Trust the scientists who are doing this experiment right now. Just trust us. We don't know what the fuck is going on. This is another reason why Pfizer announced that they are going to court to fight so that they don't have to release any of their data for 50 years. What they're pushing for is for any of the data that has happened, that they have accumulated, they cannot and will not have to release until 2075. Most of us will be gone then. Most of the vaccinated people will be gone to tell the story, to come out and say, hold the fuck up, y'all played us. So I'm gonna tell you the story now. Just remember this shit. So the PCR, right? It multiplies the DNA. Now, they take the swabs. They said that they were testing people. For one, there's already been documentation, news releases, shit has already been confirmed that a lot of these tests were tainted. Some of them had the vaccine in it. You feel what I'm saying? Like in the hysteria, not many people paid attention to how fast they had all of this shit prepared. The virus hit, a virus that had never seen, quote unquote, the face of this earth before. It's new, it's ravishing shit. How do you have a test ready that fast? Because now you have to look at it, like I said, the science, like to know what to test for, you have to know what's in it. This is any science. Like you cannot test for something if you don't know its components. If it's supposedly new, if it has never been here before, if they have no experience with it, how do they know how to test for it? They don't. This is why you had so many false positives, because they were not trying to test for it. They were trying to get DNA. This is why sometime during the pandemic, it came out that GlaxoSmithKline, major pharmaceutical. Oh, and this is big pharma. That's gonna be another episode. I got some shit for that one too. I think I might make that an impromptu sometime later on this week. Because I got some shit to give y'all before season 7 comes out. Um, but yeah. So the way in which the pharmaceutical company GlaxoSmithKline came in, they bought, I want to it's not Ancestry. They bought 23andMe. They bought the profiles, the genetic profiles of 23andMe. I'm going to show you how planned this shit really is and how far ahead you have to think to be able to play with these motherfuckers, right? And how far back you have to see in order to play with these motherfuckers to know exactly what they're doing, right? The whole ancestry epidemic thing that came up, because I'm a geneticist too. Well, I ain't a geneticist. As a forensic biologist, I have, ties to genetics and shit. Pretty dope with it. Pretty nice with it too. You feel me? So when we look at and we consider how genetics play into this, the whole 23andMe thing was, oh my gosh, don't you want to know your ancestry? Why did they want you to know your ancestry? Right? But here's the thing. The genetics, the quote unquote genetics they gave you was all phenotypical. And not even really phenotypical as if it mattered. They told you what landmass you were from. Ooh, don't you want to know where you're from? I don't have to know where I'm from because I'm from the earth. I live on the earth. And by proxy, as a black man, I have dominant genetics. There's nothing more for me to even know about mine. Like where I'm from, fuck where I'm from is where I'm at. Rakim said, it ain't where you from, it's where you at, homeboy. You feel me? And then taking it to a whole different level, it's like we're all here on Earth. Who divided? Like they told you what landmass you came from, as if that was significant. And we're excited about that, but we jumped the gun. 23andMe, I said it then. Everybody, oh, you're gonna get tested. No, you're gonna get your DNA so you can see. I don't want to know where I'm from. I don't have to know where I'm from. But don't you want to know where you're from in Africa? Nope. Don't you want to know if you were already here? Nope. I am genetically dominant. I did a jam session where I was like, fuck these fucking borders and these European explorers. We are bonded by DNA, and it's time we started exploring every something. Started breaking every barrier, some shit like that I said. But I ended with, when we accept that we have genetics of dominance, nothing else really matters. Literally nothing else really matters, because they never told you what like when they ran your, like, think about the profiles that they ran. Some of those lands weren't even those names at one point in time, but they knew you came from Africa. They knew you came from Nigeria. They just made some bullshit up and gave it to you so they can have your DNA profile voluntarily without your force. You voluntarily gave this up, which in the fine print, which in the written part of it is, you have given the ownership of your DNA up to 23andMe. The deal was 23andMe cannot do anything with your DNA. That's who your contract is with. 23andMe. GlaxoSmithKline bought that shit. And now they're dissolving 23andMe, which means there's no more contract. You feel me? To put this in a perspective so people don't think that I'm reaching with this shit, if you're trying to fix your credit and you want to have something removed off of your account, like you have collections on your account, you can have collections disputed by asking for the original documents, by asking for the original contract for that credit. Because like once a company sells your shit off to a collections agency, yeah, it's bad and it can get, just fuck your credit up. But to get it off, what you would do is you would ask for the account information and the actual documentation and agreement between you and the collection agency. You never sign that. They have to take it off legally because that's not your contract. Even though it has your name on it and everything, you never signed that. You signed with whoever had the collection, whoever had the thing first and sent it to collections. That is the exact same parallelism of what's going on right now. You gave your DNA to 23andMe. They don't have it anymore. Your contract is null and void. That's who your contract was with, 23andMe, not GlaxoSmithKline. But now GlaxoSmithKline has DNA, right? So I was wondering, this is 2016, right? There was a lot of hysteria that had to go on with this. Trump had to be elected, all this shit. There's a lot of shit to keep science from being paid attention to. Nobody's seen this whole shit coming. You feel me? Nobody's seen this whole shit coming. So you're watching how people are just, oh, I want to know my DNA. Like, check the TV out. If you're still watching it, it's like, you don't see any 23, and you don't even see any DNA ancestry commercials like you used to. Them shits are gone, children. The advertising is done because the market has already been the market's already served its purpose. The market is closed. That market is closed. They have what they need, right? Most of the world, especially in the United States, but most of the population have given their DNA to see where I'm from. Of course, not many people in poverty or poverty-stricken areas and shit like that, because it's like, fuck that, man. I'm black or I'm this, I'm that. Like, but some people went above and beyond, and then some people caught hip to it. They would check their siblings and be like, wait, what? How you? We just mm, mm, different shit. So tying that back in, that was phase one. That was the first plan. Get the DNA. We need to get the DNA. But how can we get the DNA without them knowing we're taking their DNA? They could have did it in any kind of way, really. I think at this point they just like fucking with us to know, like this is easy. You can take a blood draw or some shit like that. Nobody has to, but to get it on a mass scale, because when you're doing an experiment, a science experiment, you have to get all of your materials and your resources at once. There's no get one here, one there. No, get everything at once so you can start conducting, right? So now they have the reference point to look at DNA. Now, whatever they want to do as far as technology goes, as far as genetics go, manipulation, they have the base marker where you came from. So if they fuck shit up, they can say, okay, well, here's the original. Here's the blueprint. We can add and take away. All right, this doesn't work in the blueprint. Okay, cool, but we still have the template. But even deeper, it's like they collected it on a whole different level. Now I get it. Some people, and this ties into what I was talking about earlier about the ways to get the DNA. When you sent your 23andMe shit and you swabbed your mouth, your buccal cells, your cheek, it's a reason for that. And that's why I mentioned that within the face and the nasal palate, that's where you can get the best DNA from. So now they just moved it. Oh, we're going to stick it up their nose, make it uncomfortable, whatever the case may be. We're going to swab the nasal passage. And when we swab the nasal passage, what do they do with your test? Like, people think it's really a test that oh, you got COVID. They don't need a test to tell you that. You feel me? And then the tests are yielding false positives. I don't think people understand the significance of a false positive. False positive in any experiment means once you get it, you can't use that anymore, but they're still using it. Because it's not that there's no one to check them, but when they're controlling the narrative, they're able to be the bullies and say what can be checked and not. That's why the whole fact checkers are coming out. These fact checkers ain't checking any facts. They're shutting people, they're shutting people up. It's that simple. And trying to make people look stupid with certain shit. You know what I'm saying? With what they say. This shit is not, like I said, I'm at the point where you can fact check everything I'm saying and look at fact checkers like, whoa, you feel me? But that's not here nor there. So your DNA template is already on file. A lot of people have already given up their DNA voluntarily. Now you give up that DNA again, because now this is where it gets dope, and this is where the crime scene shit comes in. Because now when they take your DNA, now it's like, so what was the purpose of taking the DNA during the vaccine as a test? Because now they have your DNA. Now they can pinpoint the exact person. The only motherfuckers they can't find are the only people that they will not have access to or will not be able to find are the people who never gave their DNA up for ancestry shit, which is absolutely nobody. And I'm going to tell you why. Unless there was a whole family where everybody stood tall and said, I'm not doing it. Like, if you have siblings, if you have like people that have done it, they have your template. If y'all have the same mother, same father, they have your template. Yeah, your shuffle is a little bit different, but for the base part, a lot of it is very similar. Like, this is why, and because mitochondrial DNA is the same. You feel me? It's the same down a bloodline, which is crazy because when you look at how we're in a patriarchal society and they say you are who your father is, but biologically, mitochondrial DNA is the same for the mother, the grandfather, the grandmother. Like it's down the mother, the maternal lineage. It's the same mitochondrial DNA that runs straight down. Amazing, right? But anyway, in that aspect, when you're looking at the mitochondrial DNA, that is what connects you with siblings. If that's the same, you're the same. So it's like it's really not a point of it has to be much different. That's why I'm saying they have pretty much everybody's. But now we're going to bring it back up to, what I'm saying, COVID a little bit. And the mandate. This is why the mandate was only a fear tactic. They gave you a choice. They put you between a rock and a hard place. So they say, we didn't mandate it because they never could. But the reason why they never could mandate it or never would mandate it was simply because it was for the experiment. Do you feel what I'm saying? Every science experiment, you need a control and you need variables. The two control points are the people who are unvaccinated and the database of the DNA. So they know who's vaccinated, right? And by knowing who's vaccinated, they have your DNA template to match if you're in that system. And say, okay, this is this person genetic. Were they affected by COVID? How is COVID affecting them? This is why you need booster shots. It's not to boost your immune system. And this is what pissed me off so much about it. Hearing so many people say the vaccine doesn't protect you, but it helps that if you do get it, it does. So it basically does what your body was going to do anyway. That's the biggest mind fuck of this entire thing. They told you the power your body already had, told you a vaccine was going to do exactly what your body had and made you choose the vaccine over your body. You feel me? I be telling people all the time, like, they're like, oh, nah, the vaccine is going to work. I'm like, listen, y'all, healthy shit is expensive and this vaccination is free. Nigga, you can't even get a motherfucking salad from McDonald's, one of the worst fast food restaurants out there, is more expensive than even the destructive shit they have. Even their healthy bad shit is still more expensive. Health is expensive and a vaccine is free. No, an experiment is free. The clinical trial is free. The experiment is free. I know it sucks. It's like, I was a part of, yes, you were. And the same experiment had happened already before. This isn't the first time it happened. How do you think the flu came into this world? The Spanish flu of 1918. The Spanish flu of 1918 literally in real time played out the exact same way as this. To a T. There's not a single thing different other than the name. Wearing the mask for 5 years. Oh yeah, that one ran for 5 years. You feel me? Constantly having to get shots and boosters to erase the flu, to eventually say, y'all, we fucking up. Just get one every year. Getting every year. Now, here's where it goes into a deeper, darker rabbit hole. The difference between the flu shot. Because think about this too. The flu shot was never called a vaccine. When did they stop calling the flu shot? They just shot. You see how they're slowly putting the vocabulary back into it now? We went from calling it the COVID vaccine to now it's the shot, the COVID shot. You feel me? If you get your booster, y'all, I'm here to get my COVID booster. I'm here to get my COVID shot. Listen to the wordage. You feel me? And again, in mass hysteria, you're not able to see how shit happens. Like I said, there's a book. I said before, there's a book called Battle for the Mind. Not Battlefield for the Mind. That's the Joyce Meyer chick. The gospel lady looked like Joker. But Battle for the Mind. It is by William Sargent, I believe it is. And he tells about how you change somebody's mind. You got to put them in a specific point of trauma. And every bit of information you give them, you can program them. That's how the propaganda is going to work. Right? You tell them what needs to happen. You tell them in their hysteria, they're internalizing and repeating it back. You feel me? This is why, like, one of the biggest things that I repeat and I talk about on what is it? So Frail. In So Frail 3, when I talk about the mind, I talk about belief and getting over cognitive dissonance, and I talk about the power of the mind. This is what I'm talking about because they've exploited that power so well that they know how to use it. You feel me? They know how to use it well. So they trigger the trauma, they trigger it well. And when they trigger the trauma, what they do is they send it into how they want the society to be constructed. They did it. Imagine this from the flu vaccine, from the flu shot, because it was never called a vaccine. The flu shot began in 1918, the Spanish flu. It was a pandemic just like this one, right? But for one, it eventually died down. But after a while, it set the tone for 100 years. The way the world was moving for 100 years was based off of a flu shot. Think about that shit. Just let that sit and marinate. Now we're looking at it from a perspective of the world is now being adapted, and like they're telling you this is the new normal. They're telling you like they're getting you normalized for this shit because it's deep. Because now we have to go into understanding just exactly what that shot is. The vaccine is not a vaccine. I wouldn't be surprised if the flu vaccine was already like this, but this is different because never has there ever been documented information about there being a mRNA technology used. This is not a vaccine. This is a DNA manipulation. You dig what I'm saying? Now, so remember when I was talking about PCR? PCR has a process where it denatures the DNA, splits it, and it multiplies it. How this DNA is multiplied is because there is a code that is being written within the DNA structure by a template of mRNA. Your body naturally has mRNA within its cells. That mRNA is going to make the body replicate its DNA structure. When DNA splits, the mRNA, your mRNA, rewrites the code and tells the story. Now, what do you suppose will happen when there's already mRNA in your body that's not yours when your DNA replicates? So this mRNA technology that we have, the technology, when it writes into the code, what it's going to do is when when your cells naturally replicating DNA, the DNA replication process is happening. What is going to happen is there are blockers within the vaccine. The blockers stop your mRNA from showing up and put the mRNA of that vaccine into your body, and it rewrites the code. This is now more tying into the experiment. Which one of these is fucking up the code the worst? That's the one they're not going to use. That's why they released Moderna, Pfizer, and Johnson & Johnson. Johnson & Johnson was always going to be fucked up. Like, that's why they have just taken that out of the running. They said Johnson & Johnson is not as effective as the other two. Johnson & Johnson has killed motherfuckers from this vaccine and from other shit. You should have known not to take that motherfucker. But now you're left with Moderna and you're left with Pfizer. Ultimately, I personally feel like Moderna might win simply because its stock code is mRNA, but it could be Pfizer or Moderna. But whatever the case may be, when it comes to these two, it's like which one of these, because they're using different DNA markers. Moderna is different from Pfizer. Why? Because they're patented differently. They're patented differently, which means they cannot have, in order for your patent to stay firm with no competition, with no friction, you have to have some kind of differentiation between the two things. Even if everything else be the same, there has to be something that separates you two. You dig what I'm saying? And it's the mRNA marker that they have in it. They have different mRNA codes. So it's going to say which one of these codes is going to do what we needed to do the most within the human body. Right? That's what that's for. So now every time you go get tested, and now the reason why the tests are needed for what they are, as far as PCR, because they already knew we had to infiltrate the DNA. But how can we test to make sure that the DNA markers are working? How do we know that the DNA markers are actually getting into the people? You have to test the DNA, because once the mRNA strand is in there and the DNA replicates, it now becomes a part of the DNA structure. So now when it naturally replicates, you don't need the vaccine anymore because it's going to replicate that mRNA structure. How would I know that if it took effect? How will I know if it took root? By testing the people, sticking the swab up, getting the DNA and testing them through PCR. PCR has nothing to do with a test. PCR is not even for a test. In fact, the very guy that I mentioned at the beginning, Kerry Mullis, If I'm not mistaken, it was him in a conversation that said, I don't know why they're using PCR to test for the COVID vaccine. When he said that, it puts into perspective of what exactly are they doing? This is not a vaccine anymore. It's never been a vaccine. It's a rewriting of the genetic code. Imagine being tagged in your DNA to where a motherfucker knows now where you are. Now, here's where it gets even more different. Because remember when I was talking about the GlaxoSmithKline buyout of 23andMe? They have DNA templates, right? So with the DNA templates, now not only do they are from the continual testing that they're doing now and collecting, because think about it. When you go to any of these pharmacies, there's specific places you have to go to get tested. You feel me? Now they're starting to, don't get me wrong, now they're starting to make rapid tests because the shit is dying down. They have enough data to conduct their research for their experiment, and it's going to take them 50 years to process everything. That's why Pfizer doesn't have to release anything until 2075. Now they're sorting out the data. You feel me? It's part of the scientific process. You feel me? The scientific method, I'm sorry. That shit we learned in the third grade, the hypothesis up into the experiment and the conclusion, it's going to take them 50 years to draw this conclusion. Because that's how much data they're going to have to need. They're going to have to use, right? So, I know if this, let me quick pause and tension. If this shit is getting scary, yeah, it is what it is. Ignorance is not bliss, it's evil. You feel me? The more ignorant something makes you or wants you to be, the more evil it is. Know that. That's why it hurts so much when shit comes out. Oh, it's blissful. No, I have to make the situation be blissful to keep you ignorant. That's why ignorance is bliss. Know that. But anywho, back on topic. So when we're looking at the full scope of everything that is really going on, we have to see it from the perspective and the dynamic that they have everything they need. So imagine when you go take your shot, not your shot, when you go get your test with everything, where does it go? How do you dispose of that? Do you just throw it in the trash? No, you can't, because it's bodily fluids. If you are just throwing it in the trash, you can go to jail because that is a hazmat violation. You are supposed to throw things with bodily fluids in a hazardous container. The hazardous container then gets shipped off somewhere. Where does it get shipped out to, and what are they doing with it? They have the DNA. They're using the PCR to keep the DNA intact. It's that simple. It's that simple. When they send it off, whatever lab they send it off to, oh, your results are going to be here. It's because it ran on a PCR test. That PCR can multiply DNA by 2 to the 30th power in a day's time. Oh, come back for your results in 72 hours, up to 72 hours. Oh, shit, now we got you profiled. We got your name. We got everything. You gave us your DNA. Now, on some real shit, there's not a motherfucker alive that can ever commit a crime again. There's not a motherfucker alive that can do anything that your DNA can, like, you've given all of that up. Through this process, like, I've never been tested for COVID. I never had to be. I don't, you know what I'm saying? Don't have a shot. And I'm not going to get it. I'm not going to do either of those things simply because I understand what this whole shit is about. So now that they have the DNA templates of everybody, the same hysteria. It's crazy because the same hysteria that made you want to have your DNA checked is the same hysteria that made you fall into the COVID shit. It's the same space, ignorance. And by ignorance, I know a lot of people look at ignorance from a perspective of, ratchet shit. No, I don't mean ignorance in that. Ignorance is simply the lack of knowledge. If you read Sophia 3 yet, you understand how I break down the mind of belief, knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. Ignorance is the lack of knowledge. So you better hope you can believe. And you can believe and trust what the motherfucker is saying to you. Because to attain knowledge, you have to get through the wall of cognitive dissonance. If ignorance is a lack of knowledge, that means you're not even able to break through the wall of cognitive dissonance. So a lot of times people be thinking ignorance means stupidity, and it doesn't. You could be smart as fuck and still be ignorant to something. And that is one of the things that fucked us up the most about the education system, because they never taught us how to critically think. They taught us how to memorize shit through rote memorization and not actually critically use our minds. People think they're smart and they're intelligent because they can regurgitate shit. Like, I never understood. Like, I respect it. Don't get me wrong. I respect the winners who do this shit because it's hard. Don't get me wrong. But we call people who win spelling bees smart. It's not smart. It's a matter of memorization. You remember how letters go together. It's really nothing to draw on. Literally, it's really nothing drawn. Now, some do go that step further. You know, they learn definitions, they learn meanings and shit so they can remember the word. But it's so they can recall the word a lot more efficiently. If I'm just telling you to spell a word, you have no, like, for example, if I tell you to spell sport, you have so many different associations in your mind that spelling sport is easy because you've seen it somewhere. You know what I'm saying? And plus, it's only 5 letters. You feel me? If I tell you to spell receive, you feel what I'm saying? You can start it off, but then you have to start remembering I before E except after C. Sometimes, some people can spell it straight through, but sometimes you remember I before E except after C and blah, blah, blah. Because you're like, oh shit can be changed. But there's certain ways you remember how the order of a letter goes. That is not a function of critical thought. But this is what I'm saying, because the entire education system is derived from that. So now when you get someone who's, oh, you're good at regurgitating information, you're good at recalling, you're good at, you know what I mean? That's what they teach us, to get good at that. So it appears that way. So when shit really happens, oh, this has never been repeated before. This is ignorance. This isn't the shit that nobody knows about. Everybody's giving their own speculation about COVID. And it's like, that's another aspect of ignorance. You know how many people sounded smart and knew nothing about what they were talking about? That was one of the biggest mind fucks to me, to say trust science that had never been done before. It blew my mind. I said, y'all really hear this, but don't hear this. Because you weren't supposed to hear it. You were never taught to listen. You feel what I'm saying? So now we take it that one step further, because it's like they already know the human body. They already know the body's broken down. So now it's like we need to get into the DNA, but we can't just put it in. We just can't do it like that. You feel me? We have to make it a way that they give it to us voluntarily, off the good extreme and the bad extreme. We simultaneously, as a population of people, have given them our DNA freely. All you keep hearing is get into the markets, but do you trade or do you invest? Should you do stocks, forex, crypto, or NFTs? My personal answer is not a single one if you don't know how to read a chart. Without knowing how to read a chart, you end up giving all your money to those who do. Do you know what a candle is? Do you know the pocket of activity? Do you know the difference between market direction and market control? If you answer no at least once, you might want to learn how to read a chart first. Learning how to read a chart will let you know if you should trade or invest, and if you should do stocks, forex, crypto, and or NFTs. It will also let you know if this is even for you or not. So visit IamJustSeen.com to learn how to read charts with my Mastering the Market course, ebooks, and webinars today. The world is changing. The question is, will you adapt with it? Because all of the logic, all of the thought through this theory, it went out of the window. Nobody was thinking it, just like, yo, trust science, man. Go with it, go with it, go with it. I want this shit to be done. They put you in such uncomfortable positions that you needed it to be done, just for the sake of, okay, let's get this over with. You feel me? That's how capitalism works. Capitalism thrives because of laziness and ignorance. I know so many people look at capitalism as, they look at a capitalist as a bad person, but who was the capitalist able to capitalize on? That's their fault. And see, I'm not even going to say laziness because I wanted to sound professional. It's off of ignorance and inconvenience. No, ignorance and convenience. But convenience is laziness. Oh, you already did this for me? Cool. And I'm not saying don't take that route. I'm not saying don't take that route. Use convenience at best you can, but understand how it is a convenience. You know, quick side tangent, but it's still on topic with this. One of the things that made me an entrepreneur the most was I had to cut the middleman out. But to cut the middleman out, I need to know how he was a middleman. Couldn't just cut him out. You feel me? I needed to know how he was a middleman. They don't show you how to become a middleman. This is why you have a lot of whistleblowers. They wanted to be the middleman and found out too much and was like, whoa. But they take them out. You can't blow the whistle. It's like you can't infiltrate a system thinking you're going to make change with it. That's a different episode. That's big pharma. I can't give you all the hints on that one. I'm gonna save that one. But yeah, so that's the vaccine. It's not a vaccine at all. It's a DNA manipulation. And they needed the test to show you how we're gonna dip it. We needed to know that it's working. Johnson & Johnson fell out the running. It wasn't holding in the DNA. That's why people were dying from Johnson & Johnson vaccine. People think an allergic reaction is bad. And it is. It is, don't get me wrong. What do you think an allergic mutation is? Imagine having an allergic reaction to a mutation. Marvel Comics, like they've been showing us shit like this for a long time. They've been showing us shit like this. But it's entertainment. We don't really think that this shit is really happening. It is. It is. One thing I always said about sci-fi and the movie industry, they make something hyped up. They make a subject or a concept so hyped up that when you see it in real life, it's so diluted that your comparison to it doesn't work. It doesn't register to think that it's what it is. You feel me? Here's what I mean by that. For example, and this is going to give insight into the next episode on Big Farm, next Impromptu, right? When we look at, damn, I just drew a blank. I mean, I wasn't supposed to say shit. Fuck. Damn. All right. So I bring it back. I just have to save it for the next one. So if you look at how the mutation happens, right? The mutation is an allergic reaction in your DNA. Let's take a moment to really look at that. Like in a layman's perspective, a mutation is an allergic reaction within your DNA. A reaction that changes you. Your DNA can be altered so much that it kills you. Now imagine when your body has a response to an allergic reaction, it sends things like basophils, eosinophils, immunoglobulins, things like that to attack the invader. How do you attack the invader when it's now a part of you? It was once being in you. That's when you can fight it. But how do you fight what's a part of you? Your body dies because this is now becoming a part of your DNA code. That's why a lot of the one-shot Pfizer, Johnson & Johnson people, they were dying first. That was the worst vaccine. That was killing people. Like, nigga, I just want one shot. I ain't coming back for boosters. All right, nigga, we gonna see if one shot is enough. We're gonna see, and this was the thing, the boosters are the doses of how they're infiltrating your DNA. That one shot was just to see if we can do it all in one fell swoop. Can we achieve the mission and not do it in parts? Nope. The body rejected it. The mutations happen too rapidly. And we look at mutations as far as how they make the body look like, because like I said, sci-fi shit has made you look at things from a whole grandiose perspective. So when you think a nigga mutating and shit, you see extra arms popping out this motherfucker, 12 eyes, his voice changes and shit like that. No. Malaria caused a mutation within black people called sickle cell. What changed? Outside of science, outside of the hospital getting your blood work done and shit like that, how would you know you got sickle cell unless you broke down into a crisis? You won't know. You won't know. That's what a mutation is. You don't know it's a mutation. It's that until the effect happens, to the actual allergic reaction in the DNA happens. You dig what I'm saying? That's what state we're in right now. You feel me? So now they're testing the allergic reactions within the DNA. They're getting closer and closer and closer to where they want it to not be any. By the time there's not any, any allergic reactions within the DNA or the mutations, the being is already mutated. You feel me? They're not going to tell you this. They won't tell you this. They can't tell you this. You feel me? And this is one of the things, I think I said at the beginning of the episode. I don't remember. I probably wanted to say it, but in the grand scheme of it all, I had people that have got the vaccine, like close people who've gotten the vaccine and still got COVID. And they're looking like, what happened? I told you shit wasn't gonna work. I told you that's not what the vaccine isn't to prevent you from anything. You feel me? And I know that they don't want to tell me. I know they got the vaccine. I know it, but they don't want to tell me shit about getting the vaccine. They don't want to add. They don't want to come out and tell me because they're experiencing the remorse, and then they're like, "You're gonna say I told you so," and I might. But let me explain something to the world. Let me explain something to people. I rather be able to. I prefer to be able to say I told you so than to say I should have told you. You made the choice. And that's the thing. In Sofer 3, I talk about choices versus picking options. I gave everybody the ability to make a choice. When you don't have the information behind something, you don't make a choice. You pick an option. Options are already made choices. That means somebody else is in control of that. Choices are made by you. Make choices. Choices is something that you create. You make a choice. You feel me? I break down how to do it, and I break down the dynamics of it in the Tree of Life chapter in Sofer 3. But making a choice and picking an option is not the same. I use an example from Sofer 3 that I broke down. It's like when you look at fast food, they have a menu. That menu is options for you to pick, not choices to make, options to pick, right? The choices were made by the creators of that company, of that fast food restaurant. You feel me? You didn't make the Whopper. You picked it. You didn't make the Nacho Bel Grande. You picked it. You dig what I mean? This is the world we live in. They make our choices and we pick the options and think we're making a choice. Mm-mm. So again, I'd rather say I told you so than I should have told you. Because at least now you were able to make a choice. Whether that choice was, good or bad, right or wrong, whatever. You were able to make a choice because you had both sides. And now it's like, damn. And I've learned that when people feel like you're going to say, I told you so, it's not that they feel like you're going to say, I told you so. They literally are coming to terms with the fact, damn, you told me. And again, that's why I'd rather be in a position to say, I told you so and not say it. Because, I mean, like I say, I may or may not say it, but I'm not a dickhead. I'm not an asshole, especially not something about this. Like, nobody knew. I mean, shit, I'm just, I'm a random motherfucker who makes podcasts, day trades, and you feel me? What merit, I get it. What merit do you have to trust what I'm saying? Just the same merit you got to think about, like, what merit do you have to trust the scientists? You have like the doctors and the Faucis and all of the shit. You notice they don't talk as much. The purpose was served. The authority figure was used and the purpose was served. And it's in that served purpose that the people picked an option. They didn't make a choice. Now, here's where it collides because they made you pick an option. They gave you the possibility to make a choice. but they still only gave you options to master choice. And here's why I'm saying that. Your choice, vaccine or unvaccinated, right? The options, this is where it was fucked up, because the options were, if you unvaccinated, you can't work, you can't go on to certain places, you can't do certain things, you can't do all, like, they restricted you from shit, right? So the options of vaccinated is, oh, you can come here, you can do this, you can do this. They told you what your quote unquote liberties were, but they never told you what your realities would be. A lot of us think that our liberties are our realities. So if you take my liberties away, no, so if you take my reality away, you took my liberty away. No, if I take your choice away, I took your liberty away. You're not free when I take your choice away. But I gave you a choice. And the choice was taken away by saying, but the choice was taken away by options that couldn't be refused. You dig what I mean? And now, because those options couldn't be refused, it was a checkmate. And the checkmate was, I now have everything I need. You feel me? Now they're able to see, and this is why the variants are coming back. The variants are coming out. You feel me? And they're telling me, oh, it's going to get worse. It's going to get this. It's going to get that. Like, to be honest with you, I've seen people with all variants of the COVID. Don't get me wrong. All the shits are bad. You feel me? As far as what it's doing to the body. But it's all the same level for the most part. It's a repeat. It's no different than what happens with the flu. Literally, the flu gets worse every year because it's the season. Now we're starting to have COVID season. You feel me? We're starting to have COVID season. But for the full scope of it, this experiment, sadly enough, worked because all of the pieces were there. You needed unvaccinated people. That's why they couldn't mandate it. Honestly, as a scientist, you would hope in an experiment like this that nobody would get vaccinated. Well, I ain't gonna say nobody. You would hope that everybody, I'm gonna say it this way. You would hope that everybody doesn't get vaccinated. Because if everybody's vaccinated, it fucks up the data. Literally, there's no reset point. You feel what I'm saying? If they find within the DNA markers that a mutation has happened that is probably shut down some shit, shut down a civilization or whatever the case may be, if they find that, they have to reset the population. So now when I talk about population control, everybody says, oh, this ain't population control. Nobody's dying. Nobody's like, to truly kill somebody, their heart has to keep beating while they're alive. Like they're dying, but they're still alive. Right? This wasn't like, people thought this was about like a massacre type shit. Population control is a massacre, a genocide, and all that shit. Genocide doesn't always use guns. It doesn't always use bombs. Sometimes it's a slow wiping away of things. A slow wiping away of things. You feel what I'm saying? And this was the population control. You feel me? So now when it's all said and done, what's going to happen is the unvaccinated people, they're going to let them go on about their way. Same with the flu. They're going to let them go. But what's going to happen is that if something goes wrong, they still have people alive that can continue the population of the world. I know. It's scary type shit. It's like, what am I going to do? There's nothing you can do. There's nothing you could do because these are things you have to be proactive for. These are things that you have to speak on before they happen and let the pieces fall. You feel me? This was a tragic experiment. This is an experiment gone wrong because like now so many like people have taken incentives for this shit. It was like, yo, we need everything we can to get as much DNA as we can. Like it wasn't as easy as 23andMe. because everybody wanted to know where they were from. You feel me? Everybody, especially black people. Incidentally enough, it's usually our stem cells and our DNA and our genetic structures that are used in medicine. Medicine uses the most potent shit. I'm gonna keep it 100 with you. Medicine uses the most potent shit out of nature and flips it in a way that it's science. You feel me? When they say, oh, drugs are taken from, when you take a compound or a component out of you're extracting a specific thing out of a herb, out of a plant structure, right? We know that. Now it's taking it out of humans. What would you use as the most potent piece of nature from humans other than the dominant genetics? You feel what I'm saying? Now I get it. Oh, that's bias. You're reaching because you think no. This is why Henrietta Lacks was used. This is why her stem cells were responsible for curing cancers. They just got everybody involved. They needed to know what it is about our DNA that removes shit like that, that alters shit like that, that does things like that. Like I said, when we look at malaria, when it tried to ravage the people, because that's what they were trying to do. I think malaria, Ebola, a lot of the other things that they try to kill us off with, they realize we can't just invade the body. They'll fight it. We have to invade the DNA. You feel me? 23andMe and all of these different ancestry.coms and all of these different places, they were used because it's like, wow, black people really don't know who they are. They would love to know where they're from. We already told them they from Africa, so let's just put a template on some shit and say, hey, you're from East Africa. I knew it. I knew I was from Nigeria. I knew I was from Ghana. I knew I was from here. You're from the whole world. Your DNA structure is going to have some templates from everywhere, technically. But it's like, what's their basis? What's their template to know that you came from there X amount of years ago, where climates were different, topography was different, the vegetation was different, shit wasn't the same. So how was the DNA the same from what it was then when they took you? What they're saying now is your DNA closely resembles a motherfucker that's over there right now. Which means what? You feel what I'm saying? You know you weren't born over there. You know you don't come from where they're there right now. It's levels to this shit. But they know we need the most potent DNA template. And when they say, okay, well, scene, what if you reach in, you're making it a race thing, and blah, blah, blah. Let me explain how it is a race thing. Because in needing the most dominant genetics to understand how to flip shit within the, to keep the body most potent. Like I said, they did it with Henrietta Lacks, medical apartheid. There's a lot of things that they have used they thought our women didn't feel pain. Like most gynecological systems are established off of the basis of them checking out black women. We ain't forgetting that. Like I said, prophecy is the ability to analyze the past, thoroughly understand how a working knowledge of the present. You can predict the future easily. You do what I'm saying? But how I'm saying it ties into race as the capacity of it. Like there's a reason why black people and white people are called black people and white people. Everybody else is a landmass and ethnicity because y'all are smacked in the middle. It's us, them, and then y'all. So we got black people, people of color, and white people. You feel me? Because the people of color are all land masses. But the black people and the white people, the absolute and the absolute and the absolute. I'm gonna say that. Absolute ain't a word, but here's what I'm saying, because black is the encompassing of all, white is the absence of everything. Like, you feel me? Even in their 40 and slips to tell you, oh, we're the pure race. Yeah, pure means empty. Study science, nigga. Like, when you get a pure compound, a pure mixture, there's nothing in it. There's nothing wrong with it. In a sense of there being nothing wrong with it. But you have to look at what purity is. That means there's nothing, no sediments, nothing in it. It's like water. You feel what I mean? So it's the absence. There's nothing in it. It's completely absent. You feel me? So now, when we look at how Caucasian people, like when we look at this vaccine, it's like Why would they want to infuse it with us? This mRNA technology has the DNA in it. mRNA technology has the DNA of an aborted male Caucasian fetus. Why are they trying to merge that DNA structure into the genome of people? Because what they're trying to test is whatever this is, whatever this genome was, whatever this person was, whatever this person did, um, whatever they held, you feel me? They're trying to see how it can sustain itself amongst Black DNA. Because our DNA structures are different. Like, people don't get it. People don't get it. Like, intron wise, this is where they say people are the same. Exon wise, that's where they're different, because they try to say exons are junk DNA. No, exons are your Akashic records. Exons are your past life. Exons are your history. Exons are the intangible things that make you great. You feel me? Exons are what, the woke people and the conscious people call crystallized DNA, or whatever the case may be. Our DNA 5D going to it's exons. They call it junk DNA because it's the intangible shit that you tap into, that you unlock. I tell people all the time shit like this. They be like, yo, where'd you get this information from? Like I said, I used to say I download it. Now I say unlock it, because these are a part of our exons in our DNA. We all have this shit. Some of our bloodlines just run back so far that we have deeper things to remember. You feel what I mean? But anywho, when you merge in these two DNA templates, now it's like, we're going to get to the root and the core of how they transmute and translate the shit we do to them. Because like I said, malaria triggered the mutation that led to sickle cell. Because sickle cell, like, I did a little study on this, and this is how I understand this. Like, when malaria kicked in, it's like people with sickle cell, they're immune to malaria. And I think, and people was like, oh, I'm like, that's not a shock. And I started to think about it. I was like, is that really like, that's a part of the mutation? Malaria was a thing that's like, once it hit, we knew that we had to find a way to fight it off. So you created the sickle cell anemia. Anemia, which means that, okay, so when we really look at it, like how malaria then has to play out, that means malaria is somehow fed by oxygen. Somehow fed by oxygen in cells. And the cells told themselves, cut the oxygen off. The malaria dies. You feel what I mean? The cells knew what was needed to offset this. A lot of these diseases that they put into our communities and they put into our people, we mutate. They can't understand how we mutate for the better, though. You feel me? I get it. Sickle cell is bad, but you can live with sickle cell. You have your moments, but here's where the dope part was, because it was on a genetic level. It was designed to create the mutation long enough for the malaria disease to die off and then infiltrate itself back into the gene pool as a recessive, so it can erase itself and correct itself over generations. You got to think about the bigger picture. You feel what I'm saying? Because like somebody, oh, you got a sickle cell trait, you care. Like, people are looking into, but that can be erased. The sickle cell trait, and like when sickle cell trait and the sickle cell is there, it's like, okay, you don't want to chance that. But somebody who doesn't have the trait or the cell, and like somebody with the trait, it erases, starts to disappear. It's the human design. It's very, very powerful, right? But when you know that somebody can do that, not just physically, but mentally and spiritually too. I don't think people get everything that we do is like that. You feel me? I'm bigging up my people right now. So, the fuck? You feel me? Everything we do is like that. To a science. Think about the crack epidemic. You feel me? That was a disease. They dropped into the hood. We felt it, mutated, and changed. And then they had to do what? Create the 3 strikes you out. The war on drugs. Because these niggas weren't supposed to sell the shit. You feel me? What Kendrick Lamar say in that, I don't smoke crack, motherfucker, I sell it. When you seen, oh damn, motherfuckers is hooked like this. You seen Snowfall, you seen the stories of Freeway, you seen the stories of Frank Lucas and all these motherfuckers. They mutated. They mutated. This whole thing is about how well this shit mutates in the dominant genetics, because the dominant genetics are what's going to last in this world. You feel me? If they can mutate the dominant genetics and stop it, and then they can infuse all of the other genetics with the Caucasian genetics, the mRNA, as it multiplies, you're literally going to be, you can be a whole black man, black woman, Asian man, Asian woman. You feel me? Puerto Rican, whatever. You can be all of these people, but this vaccine has already put a DNA strand in you for a Caucasian. When your DNA transmutes and replicates over the years, over the times, and it changes, you have babies, you procreate, you're creating based off of the genetics system in you that there is a Caucasian in you. Crazy, because it's a part of an mRNA technology that is multiplying, adding into your genome. So now when you have kids, the next 2 generations, the kids gonna shock everybody, either for the better or for the worse. Why do I say that? Because like I said in SoFrail 3, this is Generation Alpha. Why is this next generation, post-COVID, post-millennials, all this shit, why is it called Alpha? It's a reason. It's the first. It's the first. Like, you're the first. First of what? They all got names and shit, COVID babies and shit. Like, COVID babies are a whole generation. And this is a quick tangent. Millennials, let's not become the boomers and treat the COVID babies like the boomers treated us. We're literally that generation apart. Literally. They're COVID babies. We're millennials. We fuck with the boomers. Like we're from the boomers. Let's not do that to them. You feel me? But these are a part of the things. You feel me? When you seen it on a regular basis, you kept like there. You notice that the number one theme, because like I said, in mass hysteria, you really don't pay attention. You just follow. You just want to be safe. So you follow shit. You don't really think about and sit and listen and ponder to the shit that's going on. So one of the things that they kept saying is everybody has to get vaxxed. They said it, but they rarely said, like, the push was to get vaccinated, not to stop COVID. Did you catch that? You feel me? Look at Biden's administration. You feel me? It wasn't no campaign saying we have to stop COVID. Our goal is to stop COVID. No, it's like, just get vaccinated. It started off, we're going to start COVID. Then it was like, get vaccinated, get vaccinated, get vaccinated, get vaccinated. Now it's get the shot. They're not calling it a vaccination anymore. They're calling it a shot. They gave you the booster. It's a shot now. Because now we're going to continually put the DNA mRNA technology in you every single 6 months. We're trying to see how all of this shit plays into your DNA. Motherfuckers is mutating right now and don't even know it. Because like I said, the sci-fi theme, the entertainment factor is so powerful. It's like they create something so wild that when you see it in real time, you're like, it's not what I saw, what my conscious and unconscious minds have identified as what a mutation's supposed to be. They got you thinking mutations are Resident Evil type shit. Niggas gonna zombie apocalypse. You gonna really start turning to a zombie, walking slow, eyes, skin, flesh eating, all that shit. No, mutations are subtle. You know, Marvel got you thinking, you know, you have a mutation, you start slinging from walls and webs and shit, and bones will grow out of your hands, and that's the extremity of it. Mutations are subtle, and most mutations aren't physical. They're mental and spiritual too. The exons of our DNA are tied to our spirituality. The introns are tied to our mentality and our physicality. Science, my guy. My gal too. Bruh. Sis. Oh, y'all. I ain't said that shit in a minute. Well, yeah. That's where that comes from. That's where that comes from, and that's what it is. That's the reason why you have to get vaccinated. That's the reason why they want you to be vaccinated. It's all about getting the DNA. It's all about rewriting the DNA code. And they have every piece they need to continue to do that. They have the DNA from Ancestry. They have all of these different things already locked in. Locked the fuck in. And now it's just a waiting game to see what's really going to happen, what's supposed to happen, what will happen, um, and who it's going to happen to. They needed that many people vaccinated because you needed a variable in the control. You need a variable in the experiment. The control was unvaccinated people. That's why at this point, nobody without the vaccine, everybody that's getting sick now is all vaccinated. It's crazy, crazy, which now proves that the immune system was actually stronger than all of the shit that they were talking about. Immune system, straight immunity was stronger than all that they were talking about. Crazy, right? Crazy. So, whatever your choice is, whatever choice you made, or whatever the case may be, I know. Well, you telling me now? I'm not telling you now. You're hearing me now. Um, watch the future. Watch me. And then by mutation, I know that I'm talking about mutations and shit. But yes, you're gonna mutate. I'm not gonna, play around with you and shit. But it's not gonna be on a freaky crazy shit. Like, get out of that mentality. Like, they do the shit like with Harry Potter. You know what I'm saying? Like, you think magic is you need wands and spell books and cauldrons and all that other crazy shit, flying brooms. So that's what they think magic is. So when you see magic in real time, you don't think it's magic. You feel me? You don't think it's magic because you think it requires so much. You dig what I mean? For example, and this is going to segue into the next episode with Big Pharma, sorcery, pharmacy, that pharmacology word, that pharmacy word, it derives from the Latin word pharmakeia, which means sorcery. That means big pharmaceutical companies are magic. They are sorcery. They are sorcerers. They're conducting magic on you every single day. You don't think it's magical to turn and turn off the signals of your body at will? Like I forgot what episode I was talking about this on, but I was like, you never stop getting a headache. Your pain receptors in your head turn off. This is why you ever wonder, like, when you got a migraine or some crazy shit like that, you take the medicine, the shit stop, but you still feel bad. You still feel the same way you felt. You just don't have the pain in your head. You're still sluggish, still tired, it don't stop shit because it just turns off a receptor. That's magic. But you don't see it as magic because you're looking for Quidditch and fucking Expecto Patronums and deer and fucking wormtails, moonies and padfoots and all that other shit. Shout out to the Harry Potter gang. You feel me? They're doing the same shit now. Mutations, same shit. Mutations are the same shit. They're not some grandiose thing that eventually, as soon as you get it, it changes you. You're going to see your mutations in your children, your children's children. You feel me? It's no different than they say, okay, since vaccinations, real vaccinations, like this ain't a vaccine, this is mRNA technology, but like since vaccinations and shit, like autism has nearly gone up to a 1 to 2 possibility. It means every other child born is going to have autism. The fuck you think this vaccine is going to do, mutation wise? You feel me? This is the shit that I'm talking about. A mutation. Mutations are subtle. For example, nowadays you got homies, you got brothers that be like, yo, the white girl's getting thick now. That's a mutation over time. Based off of a thing called horizontal gene transfer and shit too. But that's a whole different topic. But once you start to integrate over time, look how much time it took for white girls to get ass. Almost 6,000 years. It's crazy, right? Shows you how long a mutation can, I'm being dramatic, but it shows you how long, you know what I'm saying, and realistically what a mutation can do. Biologically and genetically, white women aren't built to have fat booties. So the fact that they're getting them now is a mutation. It's a mutation. Like, it's crazy, right? It's crazy how that should work. Because it's like now, in the mutation, what else is happening? The pelvic structure is changing. Because most Caucasian women have an android straight pelvis. That is the pelvic structure of a man. I don't make the rules. I just report them. It's in med school. You feel me? Most women of color, especially black women, most women of color and most black women have what's called a platypoid pelvis that fans out. That's why the hips are wide. That's why the asses are fat. The pelvis structure is designed for that type, for that woman. That's why you know, and I don't know funny shit, but like white women are like they're built like men. You feel me? There's not many curves and shit to the shit, but now the mutation is happening. And I'm saying that on the level of the mutation that we have now. When you look at these COVID mutations and shit, you're not going to see them instantly. You're not going to see them immediately. You're going to see them over time. You're going to see them in your next generations if you're able to see another generation. And don't forget to check out Cafe Clothing, formerly Just Scenes merch. Get all of your intricate designs crafted specifically for the melanated being to develop a positive imagery within self and to have a little bit of fun in the process. From the peace, love, knowledge, and freedom to the dead horses and water designs, all of the styles are crafted for the imagery to make you feel as you're supposed to feel. Because as I always say, the best way to fit in is to stand out. And what better way to stand out than with your exclusive styles from Cafe Clothing. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and end it there. Yeah, man. That's all of that. I may have left some shit out, but it's definitely gonna be in another impromptu. But all of that was why you need to get vaccinated. That's the why as to why you need to get vaccinated. Also, reiterating from the title, I know you've seen it, it's clickbait. I'm not telling you that this is why you need. I'm telling you why they need you to be vaccinated. It's deep. It's deep. They need your DNA. They need the DNA. They need the fucking DNA. They are dying here. People think I'm being funny when I say they're on the endangered species list and won't tell anybody. They have had a negative birth rate for damn near 10 years. Negative birth rate means more people are dying than are being born. And it's not that white women aren't having babies. It's not that the Caucasian race or the Asian race even is, not producing the right way. They are mixing. And they are erasing themselves. Because eventually when you mix something, it eventually goes, like, this is crazy because it goes back to the encompassing of the all. Nothing from nothing leaves nothing. You got to have something. You feel me? So it's going to start to transition back. And then now we got to look at it on a bigger scale. We look at global warming. Look at all this other shit they're trying to tell us is real shit because they don't want to tell the reality behind the shit. Like, to tell that global warming is not a real thing, it's an illusion, you have to teach astrology. You have to teach cosmological astrology and teach people about the 26,000 year cosmological year that affects everything. That every season, every zodiac sign operates from about 2,100 years. You feel me? Which now we put that on a perspective. We're in cosmological spring. We're going into it. We left cosmological winter. They told you that in history. Ice Age. What the fuck you think an ice age was? It was just cold for a pocket of time. Duh. It's cosmological winter. You feel me? Now we're coming into cosmological spring. It's getting hot. Global warming ain't like, it ain't on no shit. Like when we look at icebergs and snow caps and shit like that, oh, the icebergs are melting. It ain't no different than if it's February going on March and you live in New York and you see the snowflakes and the crystals, like they're starting to melt and shit, but you seen big snowmen and shit that was lasting for a long time. It's starting to melt. This is just a grander scale. The icebergs are melting because, oh, bro, we coming into what? Spring? And then you have summer, and then you have fall. You have 4 seasons of heat. Well, 3 seasons of heat. My bad. It's only 4 seasons. You have about 3 seasons of heat. Imagine what 3 seasons are. Like, one season is what? Fucking, how many months? One season is a month, basically, right? So, wait, no, hold on. I'm saying that shit wrong. I feel like I'm saying it backwards. All right, it's like 3 months a season. Yeah, it's 3 months a season, right? So you had 3 months a season. Imagine a cosmological month. Imagine it from that perspective. Like, there's, how many seasons is that? Like, how many months is that cosmologically? You feel me? Because each age is about 2,100 years, but an age represents quote unquote a month. Like, every season represents a month. You feel what I'm saying? A month of time. So when you're looking at it from that perspective, How many years is that? Because it's quote unquote gonna be hot for 3 seasons. You feel me? That's what, 9 months, quote unquote. 9 times 2100 is 18,000 years. 18,000 years of heat. Who the fuck you think's gonna weather that storm? Because where does the heat come from other than the sun? So now they talk about, oh, depopulation, we're killing all, like, watch how much shit starts growing. Watch how much shit starts growing and think, oh, we've killed the desert lands and everything is desert. It's supposed to be, motherfucker. What do you think winter is like? Real winter. There are no leaves on the trees. Grass doesn't grow. When spring hits, shit fucking blooms. Look at where we at right now. You ain't really seen a cold winter in a long time. You feel me? Just yesterday, it was fucking 84 degrees. No, not 84. I'm exaggerating. It was like 65, 66 degrees where I'm at. You feel me? Literally 10 years ago, this time, it would have been snowing. No, not 10 years ago, because it didn't snow 10 years ago. I say 20. Yeah, it's about 20 years ago, this time, where I'm at, it would have been snowing. It don't snow no more. You feel me? And in the major cities where it snows, blizzards and shit, it's snowing less. Less. You know why? Because the cosmological spring is coming. But even deeper than that, the sun is getting stronger. And because the sun is getting stronger, the genetics that are allowed to stay in this world are the only genetics that are going to stay into this world. So motherfuckers are trying to find their best way to survive genetically. You have to figure, like, these are about surviving genetically. Certain people are good, certain people ain't. So they're like, yo, we need to get the technology to enhance the necessary things. Either what they're setting up is to allow this DNA structure to be manipulated within the body so we can create the variants that create the horizontal gene transfer. That's how the variants are happening. I meant to say that shit too, but we're at the end now. But that's how the variants are happening. They're incubating as extensions of the vaccination in the people. Every time you get a booster, it incubates a new variant in you. You do the work for them. Science experiments. You feel me? Those variants aren't affecting the control group. You feel me? It's crazy because, like, the control group was only at risk for the alpha variant and at most the delta. It's crazy. It's crazy, yo. It's crazy. But how you gonna weather the storm when your genetics ain't right? And that's what they're trying to do. Get themselves prepared. I could be reaching. I could be. It could be all in my motherfucking mind. But like I said, I don't believe in coincidence, and there's too many facts for everything that's going on. Like I said, you got to learn beyond what they're willing to show you. Because if they show you, you're going to remain ignorant. So now you have to trust them because you feel like they gave you everything. They didn't give you shit. And now you got a vaccine. And if you got it or you don't, now you got a vaccine that you're going to have to continually get. Because if you, like, mutations are going to happen. I'm just going to say it like that. I ain't going to say it's going to be no wild, crazy shit, but mutations are going to happen. They told you, and then I'm going to put this piece on and I'm going to go ahead and end it. A few years ago, I seen this post. It was like, in 2050, this is what the average human being is going to look like. You feel me? At first, when I'm looking at it, now that I'm looking at it in hindsight, but at first when I was looking at it, I was like, are they saying, so with mixing and all of the gene pool shit, like eventually people going to start looking a certain way? It was like it was a lighter skinned complexion person with green eyes, like I guess 3C hair, that's what you call it, like the curly shit. And they were like, I say they had probably like a melanin tone of a 3. 6 is the highest. They probably had like a high 2, low 3. Like when I say high, 6 is the darkest. But they were saying that this is what the average person is going to look like, right? Now you have to ask yourself, how is that going to be reality now? They have it all. They have the DNA. They have the technology. Like, What do the sci-fi shit cartoons say? We have the technology, we have the resources. Art imitates reality, man. They do this shit. But I'm gonna go ahead and end it there, yo. I just wanted to add this impromptu because it's been on my head for a minute, and it's like I felt like I needed to talk about it because it's like this shit crazy, y'all. We got a lot to prepare for. You feel me? This shit crazy, 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 crazy. Because what are you gonna do like, if this shit they could just they know how to turn shit off and turn like they do, but when you know how powerful DNA is, man, you'll take it more seriously and you choose to understand it a little bit different. But I'm not saying go in and try to be a geneticist, but at least know a little bit. That was something that should have been known before motherfuckers even thought to take it. Like I heard doctors saying shit like, "Oh, this is deeper than the vaccine. This is mRNA technology. You got to trust it. We know what we're doing." No, you don't, because nobody's done mRNA technology before. PCR, carry mold. That's forensic shit, bro. That's forensic. That's forensic shit. I'm so glad I learned it. I'm so glad I learned it. Whether people think I use it or not, I do. I do well. But it fuels me. It fuels a lot of my decisions, and that's one of the decisions that it fuel. You feel me? Y'all gotta learn science, man. Y'all gotta stop get over that intimidation hump. Find a love for it. Find something. Start understanding science, yo. Like for real, understanding not just to pass a test, not to just get the basic requirements for a degree. Understand fucking science, because science is being used on you on a level that I don't even think you can really comprehend right now. You feel me? So yeah, get back to that. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and end it there. So go ahead and kiss your babies. Make sure they eat their vegetables and do what you feel is best for your babies. I'm gonna say that. If you feel you need to get them vaccinated, do your thing. If you don't, do your thing. But understand there's gonna be consequences for every single action, and we will not see the mutations develop until the next generation. When you have grandbabies and you're like, that baby look a little off, or that this and there, understand. This is gonna be the coldest reality right here. Understand that you will be the cause for how your generations are going to look in the future. You, right now, the motherfucker who either did or didn't get vaccinated, you are going to be responsible for the outcome. Prepare yourself for what you are supposed to see. Prepare yourself for what you could see. Prepare yourself for what you won't see. And be ready to apologize to yourself, to your lineage, to your offspring. Whether you knew or not, that's irrelevant, because you could have knew. As they teach you in law, the absence of the law, ignorance of the law is not absence of the law. Just because you don't know about it does not mean it's not going to affect you to the same capacity. You feel me? Understand that how our children, grandbabies, specifically grandbabies, because most of us already got kids now, but understand our grandbabies on will be the reflections of our decisions. How did you decide? Because now you have to own that, no matter which way you chose. This is not a guilt trip. This is not to make you feel bad. This is not to make you feel any way. I'm setting this tone because it can go, I have to eat that too. If this vaccine is real and it worked and it did phenomenal things in the years to come, I'm going to have to eat that. Well, granddad, why you ain't get the vaccine? Because I ain't trust the motherfucker. You feel me? I eat that. But at the same time, so this is why I'm saying it on both sides. Take it how you want, but I'm saying it off both sides. The decisions you're making right now are going to be the decisions that affect your grandchildren. You will not see them until your grandchildren. Be prepared for that. Go kiss your babies. Make sure they eat their vegetables. And I'm going to see y'all all on the next one. Hopefully when I come back for season 7. But I might have one more before that. I don't know. We'll see what's going on. But go kiss your babies and make sure they eat their vegetables. And I'm going to see y'all all on the next one. Peace, love, knowledge, and freedom. I'm out.